Okay.
He's too. Good morning to you and yours. We're sending you love and light from ECWA Television Africa. My name is Joyce Iakwari and this is from the Dailies only on ECWA Television Africa. Thank you for joining us. We are live on Facebook and also on YouTube. You can drop your comments and input on whatever we'll be discussing today. We'll be reading stories and analyzing headlines from our national papers, that's the Dailies. So we would like to hear from you too as the program is interactive. Joining me in the studio is Sambo Solomon Sabe, whom will be doing this with me. You're welcome.
Thank you
And
very
good
much.
morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm good. You?
I am very fine.
Yeah.
So I would like us to analyze the stories on our dailies. And before we do that, how has it been following the stories on our national dailies, reading the news, you know, going out there to source for news or to hear input from everything that is happening and making it to, you know, as headlines to the dailies. Yesterday we discussed on the speaker's impeachment that's here on the plateau. Yes, and the protest too in the capital city, that's just Plateau State. Then we talked about the Odili's invasion, that's her house being invaded. Then we talked on so many things, even the mosquito net, you know, is it request of the budget, you know, to be allocated to them.
Call it saga.
Yes. How do you feel about all these things happening?
Well, we thank God. You know, we in the media setting, we have signed for it. That is why we are called the community watchdog. We go out there to find out what's happening, what's the people saying out there, you know, what's their opinion.
Yeah.
We try and narrow it down so that people can know exactly how the common man is feeling or what he's saying concerning a particular issue that is happening. And you know, Nigeria is full of drama. You know, like someone will say that Nigeria is a full is an unending season, if you can call it like that's if you put it as a movie. You know, it's a complete season that has plenty episodes that you can't exhaust it.
Yes.
And because of that, you keep following and tracking what's going to be next, what's going to be unfolding in the scene, talk about health, talk about politics, talk about governance, you know, in all ramification.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's very true. And in everything that is happening in the country, just like you said, we go out to source for them and bring it up, and they make the national dailies, you know. And these stories are the happenings in our country.
Yeah.
Yes, there are some that are bad and there are some that just of the average, because I can't necessarily say good. We've not heard good news for a very long time now, but we are hopeful. And ECWA Television is always giving hope to the people out there, no matter what is happening, you know, in the country. Let them be exposed to the knowledge that, okay, these are the things that are happening and what needs needs to be done, and they should be informed too of the happening so that they will be, you know, safe at all times. We're talking about the insecurity where the federal government said, okay, instead of the media reporting increase in insecurity, it should be more like a decrease or, you know, a decline in the insecurity. Then I wonder if really we are reporting as it is, because if you look back from back then till now, I think honestly is an increase and not a decline. But we'll see what the paper is saying today. Yes. So I would like to start with the Nation newspaper, and I have the headline here. The big story: victims' relative besiege collapse Lagos building site. And this is the big story here on the Nation newspaper. And death toll now 21. Samolu suspends official, promises transparent probe. And this is about the collapse of the 21-story building yesterday, which we reported on this program from the dailies. And these are the follow-up of the story. There is investigation, and there are probes, you know, transparent probe that are supposed to be carried out. And I heard that there is a sack or a suspension, you know, of the DJ in charge of all this. So this is it. And yesterday we reported that there was no death, no serious like fatality. Yes, death, of course. But today we are reporting 21, and investigation is ongoing, and people are still in the site or on the site trying to see if there are more people trapped in the building. Then moving up, we have fear of another headers attack grips Ibarapa, and this police gets alert letter. This story is on page 25 of the Nation newspaper. Buhari seeks release of 100 billion climate change fund. Buhari seeks release of 100 billion US dollars climate change fund. And this story can be found on page 30 of the Nation newspaper. Manhunt begins for adopters of 6 at Uni Abuja. Woman throws 2 daughters into well. This is so sad. These stories can be found on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Candidates are talking about the Anambra 2021. Candidates beg IPOB to share swords. Police announce 48-hour lockdown. Can other groups pray for peaceful poll? And this is contained also in the Nation newspaper. Police arrest suspect in siege to Odili's home. And you can find that story, and you can we can all see her picture on the Nation newspaper too. Then we have 8.99 billion US dollars investment inflow tracked in Q3 with the rider Lagos, Rivers, Oyo ahead of others. You can start reading that story from the front page and continue on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. This and more stories can be found on the Nation newspaper. When you get it, you can read more. But that's all I would like to take on the Nation newspaper. We can move to the Daily Sun now. Okay,
Daily Sun, I have the big story here that says bandits' evasion of Uni Abuja provokes fears and tension in FCT. You have the rider that said FCT minister gives security agent marching order. Kidnap varsity staff rescued. Attack shows that you can find on page 14 and 15. Helplessness, failure of Buhari's administration. That's PDP saying that. And then you have the Anambra Goba. He said, Anambra Goba, candidate plea for Kanu's release. And then the writer say, pledge peaceful conduct, urge IPOB not to disrupt election. Joyce, it's just barely a few days to Anambra gubernatorial election. And then the saga between IPOB, the government officials, you know, the issue of cessation of the Southeast. You know, this issue has eaten up the southeast, you know, and then looking at what is happening in Anambra now, before they were thinking they will have it all smooth. And then gradually they begin to understand that these people, they need to engage them and talk to them. Because initially, that's what people are saying. People are asking. You see, you can't just look at this thing and just give it an I don't care attitude, you know, and then the whole thing is now affecting the country, because you are thinking it's just one part, and then gradually the thing is taking another tone, and criminals are even having their way, you know, hiding under a particular group, you know, doing evil. Okay, now they are pleading with them. I think is a right step, because it is something that they really need to sit down and talk and then understand and said, okay, yes, even though we are agitating for this, but for now we are part of the country. So this is legal, is enshrined in the Constitution. So why can't we do this, do the right thing that is enshrined in the Constitution before, you know, as we continue with our agitation?
Yes.
So we are hopeful. And then you hear Khan now praying for peaceful election in that. I think is more than just praying. You know, the people, we need to engage ourselves, because you can't just pray and then peace will happen. Even the people have to take it upon themselves that this is the right time that we sit and talk and understand ourselves, and then see how we'll have a peaceful landing ground.
Very true.
Yeah.
And you know, yesterday we talked about strategies, if there are any strategies that the government of Anambra is putting in place, and even if the authority are putting in place, you know, to see that there is a peaceful election polls, and that's of course the INEC, and if there will be security everywhere, so that at least the sit at home instruction from IPOB, you know, won't be carried out or won't be on the citizens that are coming out now to vote. There will be security, and people will be allowed to demonstrate and exercise their democratic rights. So it's a developing story, and it's positive in a way that, you know, the CAN is coming up with so much prayer, because we need it. And they also need it at this point. And even the police are announcing 48-hour lockdown, just as contained in the Nation newspaper. And also, what I am really sad about is even the candidates, you know, begging IPOB that they should be peaceful, and they should, you know, keep away their sword for this election. It has gotten to a point that they are even, you know, begging. But at least it's a developing story, just like I said. Maybe tomorrow we'll have more of the stories, or even before the end of the day, or whatsoever, before that the election day, there will be more positive change.
Yeah, sure. Energy transmission, banks shown oil gas project funding that you can find on page 25. Nigeria owes China $3 billion as at last year, says World Bank. You can find that story and read more on page 2 and then page 25. Then we have government attack Ado Ikiti, resident of Yoruba self-determination leader, that you can find on page 4. Then we have death toll in 21-story story Lagos building collapse, hit 20. That's the sad one. And then 9 rescue as Sanwo-Olu suspend regulating agency boss. And I feel that's a good news, you know, because sometimes when things happen, and then you start looking for who to be held responsible, and then no one to be found. Like yesterday, I said, okay, the original approval was 15-story building. And then these people went ahead and then build almost 6 or 7 extra. Then where are the agencies that gave the first approval? You know, until this country will start doing things the right way, if someone err, it should be punished. It should be punished. And then when we have regulators, there's a reason why you are there. You are to watch what is happening in that particular sector. So anything goes wrong, first of all, you should be held responsible.
Yes.
Then before the investigation, then we will know who really err, and then should be punished for that.
True.
And you can see yesterday we were saying that there's no death, but now we're talking 20, and then still the search is still on. It's quite unfortunate.
Okay, is that all for
Yeah,
Daily
that's
Sun?
all I did.
Okay, I would like to move to this day newspaper. On this day, we have Anambra poll, capacity to mobilize voters despite security challenges may be the decider. Anambra poll, capacity to mobilize voters despite security challenges may be the decider. How insecurity, IPOB's threat may undercut chances of parties, candidates. And this is a big story on this day newspaper. I would like to take the story up on the paper. Raid on Justice Odili's house, impunity taken too far, says Supreme Court. As body of senior advocates call for thorough investigation. And we have so many of the writers. Incident part of APC's plot to hijack 2023 elections, PDP alleges. Well, that's coming from PDP. Then we have COP26. Buhari targets 2060 for net zero emission for Nigeria. This story can be found on page 5 of this day newspaper. Furious Samolu visits Ikoyi building collapse scene, suspend and LASCAP, that's LASBCAGM, just like I mentioned earlier. He has been suspended. Yes, set up panel of inquiry as death toll climbs to 19, 9 rescued. Thank God for that. But the death is a sad one though. IGP visit site, humanitarian minister mobilizes NEMA. Bajabiamela others condole with Lagos government. Another building collapses in Lagos. And yes, this is a follow-up story. Just when we were talking about the 21-story building that collapsed, we heard another one, you know, in the same Lagos. And just like you mentioned yesterday, any time we hear about collapse or a building damage is mostly in the city of Lagos. And you'll be wondering what is happening. Is it that the SON, that's the Standard Organization of Nigeria, they don't really take charge, or they don't really go to see how inferior things are used or superior things are used in this building? And even though we had a caller too yesterday that mentioned the same thing, you know, he talked about the rods, he talked about so many materials that are being used that might be inferior, you know, and even the height of the building, which maybe the required height might be maybe 4 to 3 to 15 story building, but they go up and rise it up to not an approved. Yes. So this is very dangerous, even if you are trying to maintain or manage money, manage resources. But you are putting the lives of others at risk, even if it is not directly your own, but some other people are involved in it. Then we have PDP, bandit attack on Union Abuja under Buhari security presents shocking, and that's on page 6 of this day newspaper. This happened yesterday, where bandits attacked Union Abuja, and they adopted some of the occupants, you know, of the quarters. Then there's a picture story of the global plan to save the earth. You can see it clearly there. You can see our president, that's the president of Nigeria, well seated with others, and I know they are deliberating on how to save the earth. And even though we've been having the COP26 ongoing, talking about climate change, talking about so many other things to see how we can safeguard the country, the nation, and also the world, you know, in general. So this is for this day paper.
Okay.
Yes.
This day?
Yes, this day.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me take business day.
Okay.
Business day, Dangote Cement, MTN, Airtel set to beat 2021 profit target. Nigeria's Nigerians cattery business shrink to 16% on COVID-19. And then I think that is just what we have on Business Day. Just few stories there. You can just pick the Business Day and go through it and read the story that interests you, even though they are not carrying a lot.
Yes, you know, Business Day is always straight to business and straight to the
Yes.
point. Well, I would like to remind our viewers that this is from the dailies and is the news and current affairs segments of ECWA television program. You can call in at half past the hour, that's 9:30, to make your contribution and send it in your input. And we are also live on Facebook and YouTube, where you can drop your text, you can drop your contribution so that we can read it live on the show. Well, I would like to continue with the Punch newspaper, and on the Punch we have the big story as APC convention date shaky, party battles crisis in 13 states. And the rider, Kwara, Rivers, Osun, Abia factions, others wait verdict on congresses. APC won't give this new car to a careless driver who will crash it. And this is coming from the General Secretary. We won't withdraw court cases challenging congresses, vow party members. This is the convention, and these are the riders that are coming under that. You can read the story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And inadequate troops may delay 740 megawatt Zungure Kashibila project inauguration. Page 20 of the Punch newspaper. NNPC admits hitches as depot dismisses price hike rumor. Page 19 of the Punch newspaper. I think this is a good news. Don't you think so?
It is.
Because yesterday we talked about the price hike, you know, from the depot, you know,
Depot owners.
the depot owners, then to the marketers. And we were worried about the distributors and even the motorists, you know, trying to get at a retail price, at a distribution price, and how mostly the hikes are always done in the ember month because of the festive period. And this is very important because the most people will be traveling at this period. Most people will be using a lot of this fuel, but if we have the hike and we have long queues at our fueling stations, then it's really bad, and it's a bad image on our country because already people already expect that every festive period, that's the time that there are hikes or there are long queues at our petrol station. But it is good that NNPC is admitting hitches and they are dismissing the price hike rumor. I just pray that it's not the dismissal of the rumor, but the real thing, that there will be no hike. Yes. Then Ikoyi building, Lagos suspends GM, death toll rises to 20, families protests. Lagos not aware of project designers withdrawal, says commissioner. And this is pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Also on Anambra decides 2021, police sound tough plan lockdown, INEC confident of Saturday poll. Page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Makinde Obaseki, other governors sells PDP Ozigbo to voters. And this is on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. Then we have investors reject $196 billion planned investments in Nigeria. You can find this story on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. Suspected insane woman throws 2 children into well, bodies missing. Page 5 of the Punch newspaper. Obi Kubana spent second day with EFCC. Passport seized. Page 30 of the Punch newspaper. This is a developing story because yesterday we reported this too. Odili, Supreme Court lampoons masterminds of raid, says attack despicable, shameful. Page 50. Okay, page 30 of the Punch newspaper. Amotekun arrests herbalist, accomplice with coffin, hosting dismembered corpse. Page 30 of the Punch newspaper. ASU seeks prayers as gunmen kidnap 2 Uni Abuja professors' family members. And you can find the story on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. What are your thoughts on this story?
You see, sometimes you lack words, seeing the stories that is popping up every day, in the newspaper, and even the newspaper is not everything that they take, happenings around you, what you hear, how you see things going, it amazes you, and you start wondering, when are we going to start getting things right, in this country? When you begin to hear the kind of budget, amount of money that is being spent on a particular thing, and then at the end of it, nothing is there to write home about. Like the story that I want to take, The Guardian, concerning the Nigerian Air.
Yes.
It says Nigerian Air, federal government disburses 6.25 billion on consultancy advisors. And it has the rider that says budget 14.7 billion in 3 years. Qatar, Turkish, Ethiopian airline identified as technical partners. Stakeholders split over prospect and then priority in pandemic. Tweet light of Buhari's government. And this issue of Nigerian Air, the national carrier, it has been on. They promised us take off, like I can't even really remember, but still up to now, we are still at the level of consultancy. So you can imagine, and then see the amount of money here, 6.25 billion. And you look at this that says Nigerians pay 5.7 trillion for darkness 8 years after privatization. Does it worth it? Does it worth it? You begin to ask, do this government, or do the government, the people in leadership, do they have concern about the masses? This is a common thing that masses use. When you talk about light, you talk about water, you talk about road, and then health. That's just what they are asking for. And then you find out that these things are not really working in their favor. And you begin to ask, what is the government doing? When we say government, we mean the people, saddled with the responsibility, handle to take care of this and to make sure that these things are working. You see, the writer says payment for transformers, wires, poles persist as supply averages of 4,000 megawatts. That's what we are still talking. For all these years, we are talking 4,000 megawatts. Fashola, Mumman, El-Rufai, Nas, others attempt fail to speak optimism in sector. Grid collapse averages 130 times in 8 years. Then we have the ECEDC blames vandalization of installation for prolonged blackout. This is the stories that Nigerians will always wake up with. They will always give you an excuse for this. Initially, if you remember, before privatization, the idea is that when power is being privatized, that is when the common man will enjoy, light as it used to be. And then that is when the issue of prepaid meter came. The saga. Initially, it was to be distributed free. At the end of it, people end up buying as much as 50,000 and above.
Very true.
Meter. So you start wondering, after purchasing the meter, which is supposed to be free, the light is not even there for you to use. People are ready to even subscribe to buy the light, but it's not even there. So you start wondering, Joyce.
And the ones that don't even have the meter, because if you're talking meter, that means you're talking progress. There are some that are also, they are still on direct. You know, without the light, they still pay at the end of the month huge sum of money for darkness, because that is what is
Estimated
written here. Yes,
billing.
for darkness, because it's estimated and they are charged directly. But then the ones with the meter, yes, there are meters, but there is no light, or there are meters, but there is a problem of hike, you know, in electricity, because we've been talking about that. Yes, in hike in electricity tariff, the common man cannot even afford that. All these hike in electricity and so many other bills. How much are we talking about minimum wage? The minimum wage is still sitting there looking at the common man in the eye. It's not growing, it's not increasing, and all these things are, you know, there are so many prices going up in the market, so many prices of commodities, so many prices of necessary amenities even at home. Then you'll be wondering, okay, when you get your salary, when you get this money, how can you disburse it to, you know, accommodate all of these prices? But then you wonder, there was a time that we read where the federal government was like, they are trying to sell idle electricity, you know, to another country. And you'll be wondering, idle electricity, when us in Nigeria, we don't even have enough. Yes. You'll be wondering, which one is the idle electricity? This is not a general fact. There are some other places that enjoy electricity. There are other parts of the country, or other, even in the same state, there are parts of a community that enjoy electricity, and there are some that are still in darkness. I think it should be generalized. It should be looked into. We shouldn't just conclude that, okay, there is electricity everywhere and everyone is enjoying it. No, there are some people that are still not enjoying the electricity, and there are some people that want to get the meters, but it's not accessible. I know the struggle of getting the meters. I've heard of people talking about it. Even in my house, you know, I know how it has been. It was supposed to be distributed, but the marketers will come and they'll be expecting you to give them something before they can fix this thing that is said is free. At the end of the day, you pay a huge amount of money, just like you said. There are, I know people that have paid 50, people that have, you know, source, because that's what is being called, source, for meter, you know, so that it will be fixed and they can enjoy it. Then even after fixing it, you'll be paying a huge amount of money for something that shouldn't, you know, be that way. If we are claiming that, okay, there is electricity and there are some that are sitting idle, then it shouldn't be as huge as that. Well, that's for the electricity. I will stop you from taking the other stories because we would like to take a break so that we can open the phone line. Please, let's take a break right now so that we can open the phone lines. Remember that when we are back, the phone line will be displayed on your screen. When you call us, you have 30 seconds to make your contribution. Go straight to your point. No insult on this program. Be very civil and use words carefully. We'll take a break and we'll be back. All right, this is from the dailies on ECWA Television Africa. Our phone line is right now open. You can call in to make your contribution. We'd like to hear from you on your thoughts on everything we think about the stories we've taken on the show today. My name is Joyce, and Solo Sambo is here doing this with me. So Sambo, I would like you to continue with your stories on the Guardian newspaper.
Yes, I have lamentations as death toll in Lagos collapse building, searches 19, 9 rescue, 50 still trapped. And then demilitarize Southeast, embrace dialogue. Igbo leaders tell federal government, that you can find on page 7 to read more. Tension in Uni Abuja as gunmen adopt 4 dons, 2 kids. That story you can find on page 5. Then you have this that says enough is enough. Supreme Court warns on evasion of Justice Orderly's house. The story you can find on page 4. You see, this story of Orderly, you know, so many times people will be talking about our judicial system, you know, the delay even in handling some cases. People find it funny, and they feel there's a foul play when it comes to judiciary, like they are being bought by the executive. They are not doing what they are supposed to do, and they claim that they are independent. So people start wondering, and then you begin to see now, you know, everything now going back to them. And we have seen this, you know, this saga in this country, time without number, and this thing is repeating itself. But thank God, you know, the Supreme Court are sending this warning. I think it's high time even the judiciary to stand on her feet and then exercise her independence. You know, that will really, really help this country, because if we go the way we are going, then we have lost it entirely.
Okay, is that all?
That's just...
Okay. I would like to take Daily Trust, on Daily Trust newspaper. Outrage, agony as death toll hits 20, many still trapped. And that's the big story on Daily Trust. Another 2-story caves in. Lawyer to sue government, seeks compensation for victims' family. Experts blame Lagos for negligence. How I escaped from collapsed building, and this is coming from a laborer. These stories can be found on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. NMPC dismisses fuel scarcity fears, says 1.7 billion liters in store. That's good news. APC barring party. This is coming from Lamido. And we've given birth to triplets, says the ruling party. Then families narrate ordeals as kidnappers adopt 2 professors, others at University of Abuja. Then Anambra governorship, APC, APGA, PDP, others sign peace pact today. Kanu goes digital as NBC launches DSO. Nigeria needs 615 trillion naira to bridge infrastructure gap in 10 years, and this is coming from the president Buhari. The story can be found on page 1 of Daily Trust paper. And we have some tiny stories on the paper which says Bethel Baptist High School Kujama 123 days. Federal Government College Birni Yauri 138 days. School children in captivity. This is talking about the adoption and the school children in captivity, and it's a developing story, a progressive statistics. That's the accounts being kept, record of the days they've spent already in captivity. Yes, and we can see Yahuri. We have a number there. We can see Bethel High School. Still, we are still hopeful that they shall be released. We have 123 still. Like a countdown, you know, and these are the stories on Daily Trust. If you have interest in that, you can get the paper today to read on more of the stories. I would like us to take another paper.
Okay. I have Daily Independent with me, and then the big story says workers flee contribution pension scheme, and then you have that story. Is leading, so you can do well to pick the Daily Independence and then read more. Anambra Goba candidates ask federal government to free Kanu, and then want INEC security agencies to be fair, just. I think that will really, really help. Because some of these things, once the issue of injustice and lack of fairness is being projected, that's when you begin to see people anger begin to project.
Yeah.
So I feel is a good call. They should look into it, because this piece we really need it. We really need this piece that we are talking about, and we have to make deliberate effort to make it work. Nigeria to reach net zero emission by 2060. It's Buhari that is saying that you can find and read more on page 6. And then you have how 4 Uni Abuja lecturers children were adopted. And then you have this one that says Nigeria needs 1.5 trillion in 10 years to breach. That you can find on page 29 and read more about the story. You know, that what they are saying, that Nigeria will need 1.5 trillion to breach the deficit. Yes, to breach the deficit. You know, when you talk about the infrastructure, you know, it's Buhari that is saying that. So this one is 1.5 billion US dollars, and that's a huge amount of money.
12.5 trillion.
Trillion.
Yes.
Trillion. Yeah. We have a caller. You have
All right.
a caller. Hello. Good morning.
Okay.
Okay. Do well to call us back so that we can hear your input, what you have to say concerning the stories that is trending on today's Daily. And then you have this one that says EFCC release Obi Kubana, another building collapse. Another building collapse recorded in Lagos. And we talk about Lagos. Is it because the place is swampy, or people are not just doing the right thing? You know, people keep asking this, Joyce.
I don't know. I think we've said a lot about this already. Like we've said, maybe it's the mismanagement or trying to gain more money and putting other people's life at risk. But okay, this is very important, the Uni Abuja adoption. But I would like us to take this call first before we continue. Hello, caller. If you can hear us, please state your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Nigeria.
All right. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you, please. Are you still on the line? Please go ahead. Okay. We can continue. I would like us to talk about how 4 University of Abuja lecturers' children were adopted. This is really sad. We've been praying against, kidnapping, adoption, and the banditry in our country. And just yesterday, this happened in the city of Abuja, University of Abuja. And it's really sad because it is an attack already, and there are stories that you often find on the papers, and just like you said, it's not everything that the papers carry. There are some in the locals that don't make it to the paper, but at least you know that this is progressive, this is still happening. And where are we going with the security of the country if adopters or bandits can get access to the university and even adopt professors? It's really sad. It's really sad.
It is. It happened in Zaria where they enter the school and then pick some professors and then some students. So you begin to.
We have a call. Michael is on the line. Let's talk to Michael. Good morning, Michael. Okay, you can go ahead.
That call. So you can see an attack to the educational sector, because now you talk about nowadays and counting for the Baptist High student that were adopted. Some were released and some are still in captivity. So, and then you have several, you can name them, the federal government, college, name them. They are just there. So you can see a deliberate attempt to crush that sector. Once that sector is being crushed, because now people will start thinking, okay, where am I going to take my children?
Okay, let's speak to a caller from Port Harcourt. If you can hear us, good morning and you're welcome to this program.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead with your contribution, but please tell us where you're calling from and your name. All right. Sambo, please go ahead.
Yes. So you can see that's just one aspect of it. Talk about the issue of hunger, agriculture. People can no longer go to farm because they feel the farm are not safe. So the fear of being adopted in the bush.
Yes.
It's something else. So these are the situation that we are in right now when we talk about security. And then we talked about the issue of SIM registration. The idea is to help,
Yes,
yes, and then you can't see that happening. These people use SIM card and communicate and negotiate.
Okay, let's talk to our caller from Enugu. Please hold
Okay.
on to your thoughts. Hello, Mr. Caller. Please, what's your name?
My name is Swale.
Okay, you're
Calling
welcome
from
to
Enugu.
the program. Go ahead with your contribution.
All right. The candidate asking for the president to release Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes.
They welcome development, and in order to restore peace in that state, the federal government needs to do the needful so that people will come and vote. People will come out in mass to support their right candidate. So that is what I have to say this morning. Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you
for
very
calling.
much. He's of the opinion that the federal government should release Kanu so that they will have a peaceful election. That's talking about the Anambra pools. So please go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes. So you see, Joyce, that's just what is happening. Just 2 days or 3 days back, my younger brother was adopted, close to a checkpoint. Yes. And then, but thank God, is at home now. We were able to secure his release. But when he shared his experience with these kidnappers, you start wondering, what country are we?
Okay, we have another caller from Port Harcourt. Hello. Good morning. This is a program from the Dailies. You can go ahead with your contribution, but please tell us your name. We already know you're calling from Port Harcourt.
I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Yes. Go ahead, please. Okay, I think
we're having challenges with,
yes, so
with
please.
the network. So you see, and these people occupy the bush, the mountains there. The way they operate, with sophisticated weapons. There's a way they create like a cave, one after the other. Like anybody they kidnap, you are just to roll inside. You can't stand, you can't bend. That's how you will enter until they remove you out.
Okay, we have a caller from Ghana.
Yeah.
Please, what is your name?
In issue of kidnapping in Nigeria, we are here not to call it kidnapping again. It is a business linking Nigerian government, federal government, because this is not a new story. Every day they are kidnapping. Every day they are kidnapping. So does it mean that if they should send soldiers to go and deal Anambra State, Igbos? So there's no any alternative to stop kidnapping. Should they send the work ECWA and kidnap? One day they'll go to Aso Rock and kidnap the president.
Thank you very much for your
Hello.
contribution.
Thank you for your thought.
Yes, one day they go to Asorok and kidnap the president. If they cannot handle the issue of kidnapping, it is means that our federal government are kidnapping us. Because this is pure business. This is pure business. Every day they will kidnap, they give them the ransom of money. Nigeria don't have money again. The kidnappers have eaten all the money. Now, our president wants to be borrowing. This is pure business. Nobody is accused.
Thank you very much for the call. We appreciate your contribution. You're calling us from Ghana, even though you didn't tell us your name, but you should know that we appreciate you, and your input is very important to us. Sambo, I would like you to conclude on what you're saying so that we can move on.
Yeah, so I feel the federal government really need to justify the SIM registration. That's what the masses are saying. Justify that, because you can't imagine people will just pick people and then use the SIM cards and communicate, and there's no trace. And then for days they will be communicating, and you said you can't trace them.
Yes.
People can't just figure out really what is happening. So that's why people can just easily say everything is a scam.
Okay, we have another caller from Cameroon. Michael, please
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes, my name is Mike. I'm calling from Cameroon.
Yes, yes, go ahead with your contribution.
Let them resign. We're tired of this flag government. When this man come up, all of us think that he's going to do something. Let him go. It's not force. Nigeria is tired. Farmland is destroyed. Everywhere destroyed. What type of government is this? And these people are even making noise what is doing in Nigeria. Let us leave us alone. We are tired of this people.
It's exhausting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
You're
much for
welcome.
your contribution. Sambo, you agree with me that all these people that's talking about the caller from Ghana and Cameroon, they are Nigerians living in these countries. I
Yes.
believe so.
Yes.
And maybe I picked it up from their accent, but I believe they are Nigerians because they share the same pain. You know, even if they are not Nigerians, at least they are in African countries and they share the same pain of what we are going through in Nigeria, what people are going through in their own country. It's not like you are being kidnapped in a strange country or a foreign country. This is your own home. This is where you call home. This is where you are based. This is where your family, your roots and everything is. But you are kidnapped. If you are not saved in your country, where else will you be safe? So please, I think we've overflogged the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. That is becoming a norm, a convention that is forced down to citizens to just accept it. It's wrong. We should really do something else. But I would like to take this last call from Port Harcourt. Please, caller, if you can hear us, state your name and your contribution briefly. You have 30 seconds because we have to wrap up.
Okay, the kidnapping in Abuja.
Yes.
Abuja. I want to is there no security on the watch? If there is security, then why would they allow an unknown government enter the police and kidnap a professor? Secondly, maybe of the invaders of the exhibition. I keep wondering, this that is for those government that enter the house country. That's my question. No, this is Nigeria, that countries that went to the house or no government. Because they should be notified. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. I appreciate that. Solo, I would like to give you this 30 seconds to say your closing. Then we wrap up.
Okay. This is a political era. The political parties are warming up, convention here and there. PDP just finished their own. But make sure, you know, is a system that you have to participate is either actively in the political scene or by voting if you want things to be changed. So get your PVC, get ready, and then let's make a good change.
Yes. All right. We appreciate all our viewers for watching this episode of the program from the Dailies this morning. We want to also appreciate our callers from Ghana, Port Harcourt, Enugu, and Cameroon. Your feedback, your input is very important to us, and those that drop their comments on Facebook and also on YouTube, we appreciate you. It shows that it's interactive and you are important to us because you give your contribution on the show. My name is Joyce, and I did this with Sam Solomon. Why don't you join us tomorrow, same time, for more of the news and details of stories that made the headlines or are going to make the headlines tomorrow.